and the Queen in that order. Let's bring in Grant Harrold, who's a former royal butler, worked for the royal palaces between 2004 and 2011, an etiquette consultant nowadays. Hello, Grant.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show.
I know it's nice to talk to you. It's an interesting job, isn't it, working at the royal palaces? Because when you leave, there are lots of things that you can't really ever talk about again, aren't there?
It is. It can be a bit tricky, but a few of us do comment once we've left, and I think it's as long as we keep within certain guidelines, we're quite safe.
Yeah. What kind of thing did you do when you worked there?
Well, the role of a butler for the royal family, or anybody, it's very much a kind of. I always say it's a bit like a personal assistant. It can be a 24-hour a day kind of job, 7 days a week, and the role can be anything from the 1 minute serving the table to the next minute running into town to quickly do an errand or answering phone calls, taking people through to meet the either the employers or the royals. Or in the case of the royals, calming people down before they actually meet any of the royals, which was
Yeah, no, I bet it's
something I had
quite a
to.
moment, isn't it, for people?
It is, and I could understand it because the very first time I met the Prince of Wales and the first time I met the Queen, on both occasions, I was quite taken back because you suddenly realise you're meeting some of the most famous, well, they probably are the most famous people in the
Mm.
world. And it was wonderful meeting the prince. But what was even more magical was when I met the Queen. The prince actually introduced me to the Queen. So I remember thinking, this is history. You know, this kind of thing doesn't happen to everybody. And from that, I kind of discovered it was a good idea when people came to meet them, just to reassure them that they're normal, they're not gonna bite, they're not gonna scare you, and they're absolutely wonderful and
Yeah.
charming to be around.
Are,
And
are they
thankful.
normal, Greg? You said there they're just normal. I
Mm.
mean, are you, when you do a job like that, are you allowed to make conversation, chit chat about the weather or
Oh,
what they've been up to? That's okay, is it?
oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing, because I train butlers as well, and this is something that comes up. They say, "Oh, are you not supposed to stand in the corner of the room and not say anything like Carson does in Downton Abbey?" And the reality is, modern day butlers, it's not like that. I mean, you're very much, as I said earlier, you become almost a kind of personal assistant. So you're there to look after them, and at the right time, you can have a conversation with many members of the royal family. I often would have a conversation or a chat, or we would catch up in different things. But then it depended what was going on. If there was an event going on, I probably wouldn't. But if it was in private time, then that was fine.
Yeah. People say she's got a very good sense of humour. Is that true?
She has. She's got a wonderful sense of humour. And again, people always say to me, has she really got a sense of humour? Because obviously, what you see doesn't always come across when you watch on television or papers. But I remember as a child watching ER back in 1992, and I remember on that you could see. I remember thinking, this is a lady who's got a really nice sense of humour. And as I said, when I met her and obviously got to know her during my time there, she had a wonderful has a wonderful sense of humour, and there's actually footage online of ER where you actually somebody's very cleverly kind of edited it, and you can actually see her wonderful humour on that.
Yeah. You obviously did enjoy, I can hear the warmth in your voice. So you obviously did enjoy working there and being part of it all. It doesn't sound like you're putting it on just for the occasion.
No, not at all. I'm very lucky. I feel very grateful for what I've done. As you mentioned, I left a couple of years ago.
Mm.
I went into teaching etiquette. Again, it's royal etiquette. It's actually to teach people how to behave around royals and to make them not be nervous. So instead
Yeah.
of doing it at the high grove at the palaces, it's easier to do it in more comfortable surroundings. And the Queen's niece, Princess Katrina, teamed up with me. So we've actually got a royal where they get to meet a royal, and they get to see that they're not terrifying or anything. So that
Yeah.
when they do go to an event, and it's wonderful. It works because you get people contact me afterwards saying, "Oh, thank you. That was just what I needed, just to see that they're normal
Normal
people."
people. Lovely to talk to you, Grant. Thank you. Grant Harrold, who's
Thank you for having me on.
a former royal butler. That moment at 5:30 when the Queen officially becomes Britain's longest serving monarch. We'll mark it on the programme here at 5:30. We'll make sure we...